Again, I hope you enjoyed the sessions today and this afternoon. I really want to thank all of you for being so engaged throughout the conference. I was dropping in on the different rooms, and it was just great to see the discussion and the questions coming from students to our presenters. I know it can be very intimidating to ask questions in forums like this, and I'm glad that you were able to kind of ask your questions and felt comfortable doing so, because I think it's that's part of the value of an event like this, is to have that kind of discussion. So before we begin our final session, let me just take some time to kind of thank some people who have really helped put this this wonderful event together. So first of all, I want to thank Dr. John Bischoff. He's the director of the Institute for Engineering and Medicine. Ken Rosen, who is the IEM Assistant Program Director, he's back there. Please give him a huge round of applause. Also, our Inspire Program co-directors, Rhonda Franklin and Chris Pinnell, for their guidance and efforts in organizing this event, making sure that things went smoothly. Catherine Lindsay is our IEM administrator, who keeps the Inspire team organized and on track. Lindsay, thank you very much. Ellie Gardner is the event manager. She worked tirelessly on the logistics, the details to make this event come to fruition, arranging for this great venue, all the food, and serving as a valuable experienced key event advisor. Ellie, thank you. We have our IEM student employee, Oliver Yackel, for his work on creating graphics, sourcing the items we've provided today to the students. So Oliver, thank you. Michael Lottie is our IEM project consultant and a senior editor, and he provided feedback on our communication. So Michael, thank you. He's right over there. And then Stephanie Schrader, who's the program manager for the ATP Bio project, which is a new National Science Foundation Engineering Research Center. And she was one of our speakers today. So Stephanie, thank you. I also want to thank Gary Williams, who helped with the audio and the AV here. Gary, thank you so much. The McNamara Alumni venue and staff, this is a wonderful place for us to have an event like this, so please give it up for them as well. And then, this is a tradition that I'm stealing directly from my experience in robotics. So I am going to ask all the students to stand and give a huge round of applause to the teachers and the chaperones who were with you today and are with you throughout the academic year. So please give it up for them. And thank you, teachers and chaperones. And again, if you have not picked up your gift bags for the chaperones and teachers, they're at the registration table over there by the Heritage Gallery. All right, so you also should have on your table this postcard that has some QR codes with it. And these QR codes will take you directly to the Institute for Engineering and Medicine website, as well as the Inspire program page on the website. So it's our intention to have all of the presentations from this year and previous years archived and on that site. So you can go back. If you missed a presentation you really wanted to see today, hopefully you'll be able to look at it later. If you want to look at the previous year's presentations, for example, the cancer presentations in 2019, or the COVID presentations from last year, you can go to the website and access those as well. So that's what I want to kind of just remind you about. All right, so I want to spend a few minutes just having you think back on this word, inspire, again, and kind of what it means, right? To influence, move, or guide, to exert an animating, enlivening, or an exalting influence, or to spur on. And it's really our sincere hope that there was something today, something you heard about, someone you met, that has kind of inspired you to think about things maybe a little bit differently, not only in terms of what your journey is going to look like, but maybe what the world kind of looks like. And what I'd encourage you to do is to kind of think about all of the collective experiences and people that you've met, and think of that as kind of a network. And I'm going to call that basically your Inspire network. This is all of the things that you've experienced that serve as your own kind of personal inspiration, right? And that can come from all kinds of places. So it can come from people that you've met, events that you've experienced, art, music, books, movies, places, this collection of kind of things that you kind of turn back to often to say, yeah, that's why I'm doing this, or that's why I get up in the morning, or that's why I'm interested in this particular subject, right? So think about that. And to kind of get you started in thinking about your Inspire network, I'm going to show you mine and give you a sense of kind of what I think about, what kind of motivates me on a regular basis, right? So for me, and probably for many of you, the foundation of my Inspire network is my family, right? So these are my parents when they were very young, and this is my family, my wife, Lori, and my two sons, Evan and Ken, a huge inspiration to me. And then a particularly important member of my family is my younger sister, Keiko, who in an unfortunate, very short life, taught me probably more than I've ever learned about life in general, with her spirit and her approach, I think, to living. So that's family. The next is an event. And this is the event, July 20th, 1969, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. I was 8 years old, and it is probably the only thing I remember from my early childhood. I remember my parents waking me up at 11 o'clock at night and said, you have to watch this. You know, get up, just watch this, because it's really important. And I can't tell you kind of how inspirational that was. I ended up with like these model rockets and spaceships and all this stuff that I built over the next couple of years because it was just so inspiring to me in terms of that actually happened. You know, that we got somebody all the way out there to the moon and back safely, right? It was so important, actually, on the 50th anniversary 2 years ago, I spent the evening of July 20th with a dear friend of mine, and we built this Lego model of the Apollo lunar module, and we were listening to the NASA audio from that evening just to kind of relive that experience. So that was a hugely inspirational event. There was another image during that time that was also inspirational to me, and that was this one, which is the crew of the Starship Enterprise. So the original Star Trek series premiered or was on around that same time in 1969. And the reason this was so inspirational to me was that I could see myself on the deck of the spaceship with Sulu, right? And I didn't see that in the NASA space program. I didn't see people who looked like me participating in going to the moon. But this, I could relate to this. And to this day, this is still one of my favorite TV shows. I like anything that's labeled Star Trek, I will watch it because of this particular inspiration. All right. This is an inspiration. This is a fruit fly. And the reason this is an inspiration for me is my very first kind of really substantive research experience was in a class in college, a genetics class in college, where we had to do research using the fruit fly or the Drosophila as the model system. And it was really, really fascinating. It was the course that really kind of motivated me to kind of consider research as a really fundamental component of my career. So I am grateful to the fruit fly for kind of teaching me that research can be something really cool. Music is a huge component and inspiration for me, not only playing it, but listening to it. And the number one inspiration musically for me, as many of my colleagues know, is Bruce Springsteen. So when I was 17 years old, I saw my very first Bruce Springsteen concert. I was just about to go to college, and it was a transformational experience for me. Basically, this man's music has been my soundtrack my entire adult life. And he has always produced music that, for me, kind of resonates with wherever I am at different stages of my life. So that's a huge, huge inspiration. Movies. You all probably have your favorite movies. This is one of my favorite movies. It's a very obscure classic from 1985 called The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. It's about a Japanese-American astrophysicist, neurosurgeon, rock star who saves the planet Earth from a band of invading aliens from Planet 10. That's the synopsis of the movie. But it is a fun, kind of campy movie that I really appreciate. Books, lots of great books that I read. These are two that I kind of go back to each and every year as kind of refreshers for me, kind of inspirational refreshers for me moving forward. And then mentors, right? People who really kind of help you along the way. These two individuals are with my sons, Bob on the right and on the left. Bob is actually my PhD advisor, and he has become such an important person in my life and in my family's life that he is the godparents for my kids. And he's one of the most creative, eccentric, interesting human beings that I've ever met. And he has been a huge source of inspiration for me, as has been his wife, Anne. Other mentors for me are my colleagues here at the University of Minnesota. You've met some of them today, but there are another kind of huge cohort of colleagues in the Center for Immunology that I work with that have also been hugely inspirational. They're really creative. I am actually very intimidated whenever I talk to them because they're much more creative and scientifically, they're just amazing scientists and people that I learn from all the time. And then finally, they're my students. So these are all pictures of MD PhD students here at the University of Minnesota. And I can't tell you how honored I am to work with this group of people and how inspired I am by the work that they do every day. These are individuals who are committing at least 8 years to complete both an MD and a PhD here at the university, and then are going to go on and do additional training, an additional potentially 5 to 10 years of additional training on their way to becoming physician scientists. That is a huge, huge commitment on their part. And they are going to change the world. They are really going to transform the way healthcare is delivered here in the United States. And it's just such an honor to be part of their training moving forward. Then finally, the high school students in FIRST Robotics. So I don't know how many of you are involved in this program, but I will tell you that this has been such an important part of my Inspire network. Each and every year I get the chance to work with these students and watch what they do, and it has really kind of restored my faith in high school students, to be honest with you, from my earlier days. High school students are unbelievable, unbelievably creative, motivated, and driven, and it is so inspiring to kind of watch them work in this program. All right, so that's my Inspire network, and basically what I'd like you to do is take out that notebook that you have and think about what's in your own Inspire network, right? Who are the people, events, the art, the music, the books, the movies, places, all of these different things that inspire you. And I want you to take a few minutes to just write a few of those down so you can remember them later on. okay, I know you probably need more time than this, but this will get you started in thinking about what's part of that network. And I hope maybe there was something here today that you are adding to that network, to your Inspire network. And remember, this is like a living, breathing thing, right? It's going to change, it's going to grow, hopefully, as you move forward with your life. And I hope that many of the people that are kind of in that Inspire network for you are these mentors, right? These are these individuals that they're not really there to kind of tell you what to do. They're kind of there to kind of listen. And they're there to kind of help you improve, to be successful, to provide you with some training and resources if you need them, to motivate you, maybe to serve as a role model for you, and ultimately to support you and inspire you, right? And it's important that you note that it's not mentor, it's mentors, right? It's plural. You can never have enough mentors. And so find the ones that are really important to you, make sure you nurture and appreciate them, but always be on the lookout for new mentors that you can add to your network, your Inspire network. All right. So the one other thing I'd like you to do today is think about what inspired you today, and in your notebook, commit to at least one next step. Let me give you a couple of ideas that you could think about. So one is maybe share what you've learned today with your family, friends, or community. Learn more about a topic that was presented at today's Inspire conference, right? And you can do that by, if you want, email a presenter today who has presented something really interesting, and maybe follow up with some additional questions about what you learned. Meet with someone in your particular Inspire network. Begin participating or take on a leadership role in an extracurricular activity. Maybe think about the next step. Potentially that could be college, university, maybe here at the University of Minnesota. Make plans to maybe visit a university, and make sure you take home these brochures about the U. Maybe think about what gives your life meaning. What are the values that really are important to you? Write a thank you note to someone who's made a difference in your life. Attitude of gratitude is really critical. Or maybe there's something else that you could think of, right? But commit to one and start from there and move forward, right? Okay, so a couple of final things. How many of you have gotten this question? What do you want to be when you grow up? It's a terrible question, absolutely a terrible question. And I think you learned from many of our presenters today that the answer for them when they were your age was, I don't have a clue. I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. And it's really, actually, right now, not that important. I think the reason that this question is so bad is because it suggests that there's only one thing that you can do with your life moving forward, which is not true, right? There are so many different things that you are going to experience that you will be able to do during the course of your life. So to narrow this down to like one thing is really not what we want to be doing. We really want to be expanding your ideas of what's possible. So think about it differently when someone asks you that question. Really, it's like, what problem do you want to solve? What kind of contribution do you want to make? What's the big question that you want to answer? And maybe you found it here today, right? Maybe I want to figure out how I can contribute to curing Alzheimer's disease or substance abuse. What's the difference that you want to make? And then what's important to you, right? Kind of what do you really value? That, I think, will help you figure out the answers to those other questions. All right. Finally, I've been thinking a lot about superheroes. How many people here love the Marvel superhero movies, right? Actually, I'm not a huge Marvel superhero fan. I'm just kind of making my way through the movies kind of slowly. But recently, I've been thinking about these superheroes a lot. And do you have a favorite? What's your favorite? Who's your favorite superhero? Anybody want to shout out? Yeah. Okay, Batman. I got two favorites right now. So Black Panther is one of them. And Supergirl is the other. I don't know if you've seen the TV show, but that's a great, great TV show. And Buckaroo Banzai is another one. And Ant-Man is a fourth. That's another one that I really like. But the question for me has been like, kind of, why do we like superheroes so much, right? I mean, for a lot of it is that kind of represent what what we ourselves would like to be, right? You know, strong, determined, resilient, being able to help others, being able to save the world, make the world a better place. And of course, they got these really cool costumes. And most importantly, maybe, is they have these superpowers, right? And it's usually kind of this superpower that's unique and special to them. And often there's this kind of origin story about how this ordinary person had some kind of event that led to them acquiring this unique superpower, right? And actually, I think that's probably why we relate so well to superheroes, because basically, the superheroes are us, right? It's essentially an ordinary person who is shown to be able to do an extraordinary thing. Now, granted, in the movies, it's because they have some kind of superpower, right, that allows them to make that happen. But I'm going to ask you to think about these questions in the context of superheroes, right? And this is about you, right? What about you that's been overlooked or undervalued? What strengths and abilities have you gained from your unique background and life experiences? And how can you use these strengths and abilities to help you achieve your goals and help the world? Right? If you think about it, those questions represent, the answers to those questions basically represent your unique strengths and abilities, your superpowers, right? That's essentially what it is, right? We have a lot of important problems that need to be solved. You heard about many of them today, but you have this unique background, these unique life experiences. Therefore, you have these really unique superpowers that can help us solve these problems. So please remember that, right? We need you at the table. You deserve to be at the table. So use your superpowers really wisely. So those pictures on the right are some pictures I took of high school robotics team, and I asked them to kind of pose in their best kind of superhero pose, right? And you know what that is, right? So this pose like this, or like puffing your chest out, or doing this, or whatever that is, right? So whatever you feel really confident about, that's what I'm kind of thinking about. So you don't have on your superhero suit today, but you do have a mask. That kind of counts. So what I'm going to ask the photographer to do is I want you all to stand and give me your best superhero pose. And we are going to end the conference with that, okay? Don't be shy. Don't be shy. That's exactly what you want right there. Like, that's it. Do it. Yeah, exactly. You ready? Teachers can do this too, you know. You can do the role modeling here. You can do the role modeling. All right. Did you get it? All right, good. Thank you. Now, I know I'm like a minute over, but it turns out that actually if you do that before like a really stressful thing that you're about to do, like a presentation or some kind of exam or something, you actually feel better and you actually do better on that event. So we've seen many people basically kind of, I'm doing my superhero pose about 5 minutes before I go on stage because I know that that's going to help me. So again, it may seem silly, but it can work. And I would encourage you, as you kind of go out today, if you're going to take a group picture before you leave, do it in superhero style, because it'll look really, really cool. So I'm going to stop there and kind of thank you again for being such a great audience today and being such a great community of learners at this year's Inspire Conference. I want to thank you for that. Thank you for the inspiration. And again, have a safe trip home, and we look forward to having you again next year.